All right, we're here as the Lost Rider podcast. Good morning and welcome to this weekend's edition of News from the Camp House, listening post to the Texas Sportsman Association. This is Herman Brune, and this weekend's edition is also brought to us by Shaw's Bend Social Club, country club folks who don't have a country club. All right, I tell you what, we're kind of doing something that I promised I'd always do. We're back here, we're in Columbus. We are at the Groundwater Conservation District. I always said I'm going to check in here every once in a while. The Groundwater Conservation District, okay, we're with Erin Weishuhn right now. He is our new manager. I say new manager, but he's been on the job now for more than a year. We've had these programs before with Jim Brazier. He's retired. Erin Weishuhn is now the Groundwater Conservation District manager. All right, so quick history. Erin, do you remember what year when we got the GCD? What year?
It was around 2009 that the Colorado County GCD was passed by the voters, and then it was passed by a resolution of the TCEQ. So it took a few years to get everything rolling on the tax rate and getting a board together. But we've been together for, I guess, around 17 years now.
All right. The GCD, the whole controversy started in around 2000. That was the beginning of this radio show. There was so much what I call, now we call it fake news, but I raised hell about the op-ed page in the Colorado County Citizen because there was so much bad information on there. And I said I would completely get rid of the op-ed page for what people were putting on it about GCDs. And it went from 2000 till, like you said, I think it must have passed in 2008 and then was implemented in 2009. I think, if I recall correctly, it failed 2 or 3 times. They skipped and then came back. And it passed in 2008. People said, why does this keep coming back? We keep voting it down. It keeps coming back. And the answer was because the state wants you to have a GCD. Otherwise, the state's going to do what they want, and you don't have a voice. And this GCD gives people a voice. So in 2008, they passed it. All right. With that came the worries about having meters on private wells, all that kind of stuff. And the state always said, no, we'll never do that. And I personally took it upon myself to say, look, every so often we're going to come into the GCD office. We're going to talk about what's going on. And if the state ever is going to meter a private well, we're going to tell you. Or if anything is going to happen with the rule of capture, because they promised in the very beginning they would never, ever do that. So now we're going to just try to keep track of them and see what happens. All right, so now, yes, things are changing. We've had numerous legislators tell us that this next session is going to be a whole lot about water. What do you see on the horizon?
I think there's going to be a lot of debate over what constitutes, ethical use of water. Mm-hmm. There's a very huge difference in opinion on everything from water going into ponds, mm-hmm. going into sports fields, golf courses. Some people see that as a waste, where other people see it as a beneficial reuse. So we're going to see a lot of debate over how water can be used. So we're also going to see a lot of discussion on drought efforts, to where when can GCDs mandate cutbacks and who has to abide by the cutback. Currently, it's only permitted users. So right now in Colorado County, if we mandated a cutback, it would only affect approximately 300 users. And we have a total of 6,400 water wells registered. Mm-hmm. So we can only mandate cutbacks to a very small increment of our well owners. Granted, a lot of those well owners are extremely large well owners, typically wells that flow at greater than 50 gallons a minute. Some of the wells flow on up to 3,000 gallons a minute. So that is going to be the class that is most subjected to a lot of our rules. A lot of those are everything from irrigators of crops to golf courses, some farmers and ranchers, duck hunting clubs. That's going to be a lot of your types that would be affected by cutbacks. So we're going to see a lot of legislation and a lot of lobbying, discussion on transport pipelines, AI data centers. Technology is still really controversial. Nobody's given up their iPhones, but we all keep consuming and producing more data. And so, well, where is the best place to burn a lot of water to cool a data center? You know, it's controversial. Nobody wants it in their backyard, but we all want our iPhone. So it's going to be a lot of debates on those things. It's kicking off right now on social media with people trying to get everybody aware of the state water plan comment period for the 2027 water plan. We've shared it on our Facebook page. There's a lot of groups like the Native Plant Society of Texas and Texas Master Naturalists are starting to hone in on how to put in, good commentary so that way our leaders can put that into the plan for the benefit of all of our constituents.
Okay, when you said something about cutbacks, right now, has Colorado County got any places where they're restricting water usage?
No, not at this time. The board of directors reviewed our drought stance last night. In March, we had issued a drought warning. We are still currently under a drought warning, which means we're monitoring drought conditions from this past fall and winter when we got little to no precipitation. And this is the first step to where if conditions worsen again, aquifer levels decline, we go without precipitation for a long period, we're on the first step for the board being able to mandate cutbacks on permitted users.
All right, and those cutbacks, we're going to reiterate it. We're going to say it again. Those cutbacks are for your major commercial wells. When you said farmers and ranchers, you're primarily talking about like rice wells, right?
High production wells that are permitted. So your typical rancher per se is going to have a lower production well that's exempt, which means they do not have to submit usage. You just go out there and put a well and you can produce it as needed for your cattle. No accountability, no reporting. But whenever you get over 35 gallons a minute, Colorado County, we require a permitting process. And if you're in that permitting process with a class A, B, or C permit, we can mandate cutbacks in time of drought.
Okay. All right. But like we said, we're going to reiterate it. We're going to say there's no, it's not happening right now in Colorado County. It's what about used to be once upon a time. I think they did do that in Wharton County.
Yes. So there was the 2011 drought to where Colorado and Wharton County worked together to mandate cutbacks in a critical groundwater disaster area, to where the town of Lissy had a lot of wells go dry. Mm-hmm. And so they started working with producers in that area that were primarily rice farmers to get a pumping schedule down to where they could keep enough water in the ground to where the domestic users at Lissy could still access groundwater. So yes, they did work together down there on the county line to mandate cutbacks.
Okay. Now the mechanical question. Let's see, the recharge zone for the aquifers in the north end of the county, but also the river feeds the aquifer, Colorado River. Now, this is where I got to be careful because I know everybody in my immediate listening area understands this Texas, Colorado. When this goes to podcast, I've had people try to fry me and tell me there's no Colorado in Texas. But no, the Texas-Colorado River up here above Columbus feeds the aquifer. Once it gets below Columbus, I'm thinking the aquifer feeds the river. It depends on the level of the aquifer. Am I thinking correctly?
That is generally correct. So Around Columbus, running northeast to southwest, the Chico Aquifer recharges. And then as you go further northwest, like along Highway 71, probably around Shaw's Bend, running northeast to southwest, you're going to be feeding the Evangeline Aquifer. Mm-hmm. And then as you push further into the mid-Fayette County, you're going to be feeding the Jasper Aquifer. So we've got a layer cake, and that's the 3 layers of the Gulf Coast Aquifer here. And that's generally how it's recharged as water moves across the county. And then in the south end of the county, it is a giving or a receiving stream. So in a bad drought, if you're pumping, you could actually affect and draw down. But in a high rainfall event, it's going to push water into the ground. So it goes both ways.
Okay, what I'm getting at with this, as low as the river has been for so long, it's not really having much. I don't see it feeding those aquifers.
Yeah, we're probably not having much at this time. Based off our monitor wells that we monitor monthly, we're probably at an all-time low since we began recording data. So that sounds a little scary, but we've only been recording data on a lot of these monitor wells for 15 years. And we have a monitor well at Altair, and it's called our Ford monitor well, and it is at an all-time low. And it is primarily a river alluvium monitor well. So yes, the river alluvium is slowly depleting with this ongoing drought that we've been in.
All right. Okay. Let's take a break and thank the folks who let us come on here every Saturday morning. We'll be right back.